I ate horse. I was early on in my mission where we were teaching a guy, and I thought he was, apparently he had been progressing in the discussions, and then one day we went over to his house and he wasn't there, and other person said he was kicked out of the house, and we went over to his mom's house trying to track him down, and long story short, he apparently got off his meds, and I think we knew he had spent some time in a mental institution before. Well, he had had a full-on breakdown, and this was a big linebacker, 300-pound. I mean, the guy was daunting. He was a teddy bear when, in knowing him, not this time. We find him at his mom's house. He's, on the back door, and he literally lost it. And so he chased us down the street, and he ended up getting kind of wrangled up and taken to the mental ward. And we didn't end up teaching him anymore. We kept tabs. I mean, he just had not taken his meds and had a breakdown, but he got back on track. But that was a bit scary, where he was like, "I'm gonna kill you," and, we laugh about it. Me and my companion. I mean, we weren't in any real danger, but it was a little. This is crazy. One day, me and my companion, and this was when we were serving in Auckland, where the mission home was. I was a district leader at the time, and we felt we should do some kind of activation work, and so we went down the ward list and ended up going to his daughter's house, who was living with her fiance at the time, and she had just kind of had that decision to start coming back to church. Okay, I mean, her family obviously is super staunch, kind of a high-profile family in the church, obviously there. It'd be kind of like Mitt Romney or something. And we went there and ended up started teaching her husband. And it was a very long process where he took the discussions for the right reasons, and we ended up baptizing him, but it was like 6 months. It wasn't, quickly. And then a year later, I got to see them sealed in the temple. I didn't get to see them. Sorry, I got to see. They ended up getting sealed in the temple, and they're still strong. And he's my Facebook friend. But I mean, that conversion of a family was wonderful. I got to see my first baptism on my mission. That her family was strong members. She was inactive. I really didn't have any part in teaching her, in that her baptism date was already set, but we were teaching her the follow-up discussions, and then a year later she invited me, and it was really special to see them get sealed in the temple. So it's those moments that, you always have the opportunity every day. I mean, it's just 2 years of a spiritual high. You have lows, don't get me wrong. I mean, very harsh lows, but like everything in the gospel, you'll never lose the peace. You're going to have challenges, circumstances, but you're always going to have that comfort. But those were those high moments. In my mission, I had the opportunity to serve as district leader, zone leader, assistant to the president. Other than spiritual, and I guess this can kind of tie in, but just how to communicate something that you feel is important. Being able to, that's important in life, whether communicating with a spouse, communicating with an employee, just in general, one of the traits that I think as a society we've lost is just to be able to have a discussion and not feel like the other one, oh, you don't believe what I believe, you're a moron, but to just, hey, I'm going to listen to you, you listen to me, and we can both be edified. Even if we don't come to an agreement on that subject, where you can still both be edified. And so obviously in those leadership capacities, I was able to learn a lot of skills as far as to motivate and teach and what it means to be a leader. Because, the principles of true leadership are very different than just being a manager, of just being that taskmaster or whatever. where you truly can inspire somebody to want to change. So just the communication skills and improving those obviously has helped me in my career in ways I can't count. I learned to juggle from a ex-clown. Trust me, it rains hard, it gets hot, gets cold, but nothing too extreme. When I was called to train, the missionary that I started training, I could tell, I mean, you can kind of tell when a missionary is not fully converted, and this was 11 years ago before the bar, was really raised. And they're obviously, at that time and throughout all times that missionaries are those missionaries who get onto the mission that shouldn't have. And this one came to light where, him and I were kind of struggling. He wasn't fully all in. But just as a few weeks after he was on the mission, just as I felt like we were starting to get some headway and really get some good progress, and I could see in him that he was really enjoying it and that he really was being nourished by the Spirit. Just when that happened, we got called in to the mission president's house, and strangely enough, we were like, "Oh, we're getting a car." Yes, because our area was rather large to handle on bikes. We were not getting cars. My companion was called into the office, and I was waiting for 40 minutes or something. He comes out, you could tell he'd been crying a lot. And then the mission president invited me in, and what had happened was this elder obviously had a girlfriend back home. They had not cleared up some things that should absolutely have been confessed and cleared up, and should have postponed his ability to go on a mission. And his girlfriend, obviously, the guilt, I guess, she couldn't hold it in anymore. She told her bishop, who then contacted the mission president, and he was sent home. And I remember being at our apartment or the mission home. This was tough. Being on the phone or being in the room while the missionary called his mother and said, "Hi," and of course the mom's like, "Oh my gosh, what's going on? This is weird. You're not supposed to call me. It's not Mother's Day." Having him say, "I'm being sent home." You just felt, oh my gosh, that just ripped your heart out, And I don't know if he ever returned, not in my mission, but that was one that, he could have done a lot of good. And I'm sure, obviously with the atonement, who knows if he had done what he should have properly as far as confession, he could have, the fact is the mission is, you have to have the Spirit. And I can't imagine going 2 years knowing or feeling like I've been lying to everyone. You can fake it, but that would just, there's one thing, go on a mission with a clear conscience. A mission is, the reason why it's the best 2 years is because it's so difficult. You're emotionally, you're not in autopilot. You are emotionally giving yourself every day. I have insomnia now. I've never slept so good my whole life than those 2 years. You will have the best sleep of your life on a mission because you're exhausted, because you're working hard, you're emotionally invested. The reward will come because you have the Spirit in your life. And so that was just a tough thing to watch.